Hey YouTube, Jam here. Welcome back to the gaming station. So, my last video, I asked what you guys wanted to see for a 100 sub special. Honestly, I didn't get a ton of feedback on it, but there were a few suggestions that I thought were really good, so I'm probably going to do a few of those as normal videos. But for the 100 sub special, I want to do a Q&A since that was by far the most suggested idea. So, with that being said, if you have any questions for me, drop them down in the comments and I'll answer them in either the next video or the video after that. But let's talk about today's video. We're going to be going over the meta list for the last two 3v3 modes. Those modes being Heist and Bounty. You guys should know how I make these lists by now, so I'm not going to explain it. But if you're new and you want to know how the lists are made, check out either of my last two videos as I explained it in those videos, or ask down in the comments. So, with all that out of the way, let's get started on the Heist list. Honorable mentions are first, as always. Brock. Brock is 10th in win rates and 2nd in use rates for Heist, so he does qualify for the top 5. But he got snubbed because Heist is a mode where the brawlers at the top just dominate the entire meta. But that doesn't mean Brock is bad for the mode at all. He does great damage to the safe and enemies, his super is great for getting multiple kills at once, and his gadget gives him good escapability when he needs to back out of a fight quickly to survive. Nita. Honestly, I dislike Nita in Heist, but her win and use rates are both in the top 10 of the mode, so she landed a spot here. Nita is really only good in Heist if she's running Hyper Bear, and in my opinion, that's only because it can destroy the safe quickly. Nita herself is not very good in the mode. So, if you play her in Heist, make sure you have Hyper Bear and play defense mostly just so you can charge your super, and then try to throw your bear on the safe when you have it. Colt. I'm actually surprised Colt isn't higher up on the list. He's number 1 in use rates, but only 8th in win rates, so he didn't quite make it this time. But Colt's damage is amazing on the safe, especially if you have his gadget and can pump 5 shots into the safe before being pushed back. He's also good at defending the middle area of a map since he can poke enemies from a safe distance when they're trying to push up into him. Alright, now let's start with the top 5. Number 5 is going to be Daryl. Daryl is currently 7th in win rates at 53.7%, beating Colt by only 0.1% for this spot, and he's 9th in use rates at 4.7%. Daryl is probably the second best tank for most Heist maps. Being able to hide till an enemy overextends is a good strategy for him in the early game. And if no one moves up for him to attack, his super will auto-charge and allow him to move up and secure a kill, which will normally gain his team control of the map. Daryl does great damage to the safe with both his regular attack and his gadget if you can find the right spot. His super is good for getting to the safe quickly or backing off of the safe to survive a little bit longer. And both of his star powers are great for the mode. I personally prefer the reload one, that way you get the buff when you roll onto the safe, but the shield one has its uses as well. Next up on the list is going to be Gale. Gale is 6th in the win rates at 53.9%, which is lower than I thought it would be, and he's also 5th in use rates at 5.9%. There's a lot of things Gale is good at in Heist. Obviously, putting a jump pad down early and letting tanks get onto the safe very quickly is very effective for the mode, especially if you have both Bull and Daryl for teammates. But Gale himself can do decent damage to the safe and is great as a lane brawler because of how easy it is for him to land his shots and how much damage they do. He's also pretty good at defending the safe when he's one-on-one because his super allows him to push enemies back, and if you have his star power, you can knock them into a wall, stun them, and pretty much always secure a kill on them. Spike is going to be number 3 on the list. Spike is 5th in win rates at 54% and 7th in use rates at 5.1%. As a natural tank counter, Spike works great in Heist, as a lot of the big damage dealing brawlers are tanks. So, right off the bat, he can serve as a counter pick to BB, Daryl, and Bull. Then that damage can be applied to the safe if he manages to get up the lane, which can be tricky due to his low health, but if you're patient, eventually you'll be able to move up. And then, if you manage to get right on top of the safe, you can do massive damage with your gadget. This makes it so you absolutely cannot ignore Spike when he gets too far up the map, as he can basically solo your safe. But, like I said, it can be difficult due to his low health. Number 2 on the list is going to be BB. BB is 4th in win rates at 54.2% and 8th in pick rates at just under 5%. BB is pretty much the best defensive brawler for Heist. She does great damage and can 3-shot most of the popular brawlers in Heist like Brock, Colt, and Barley. Her fast movement speed allows her to cover a lot of ground very quickly, so she can basically cover 2 lanes when she drops back for defense. She can knock tanks off the safe and force them back when they're low on health, and her super has the potential to do massive damage to the safe if you bounce it off the walls the right way. The one thing I will say about BB is you should focus on defense till her team can push with her. She isn't going to solo a safe, and she can be pushed back or killed quickly depending on the brawlers that she gets matched against. And, of course, the number 1 brawler is going to be Bull. Bull has the number 1 win rate for Heist at 55.7% and the 3rd highest use rate at 8.6%. We all know Bull is insane in Heist. He does massive damage at a short range, so he's great at taking out safe and other tank brawlers. His super allows him to dive in on the safe. His gadget gives him an instant heal, which can be used to win a fight where he otherwise should have lost. And both his star powers work great for the mode, either giving him a reload speed buff, which allows him to do more damage to the safe, or a shield, which makes him harder to kill. Bull basically does everything in Heist, and he's more often than not the right choice for a tank in the mode. This time around, Bull and BB are the only repeat brawlers from the last time we did this meta list. Nita, Barley, and Colt all dropped out of the top 5, Spike, Daryl, and Gale replacing them. Daryl was an honorable mention the last time, and he's a great alternative for Bull in the mode, even being preferred in the competitive scene. I think Spike's gadget helped him break through the list, as people would sleep on him and he would end up destroying the safe. And Gale is just broken right now, this being the 3rd list that he's managed to be on. I think they're going to need to nerf his damage or rework his jump pad, but that's a discussion for another video. Alright, with Heist out of the way, let's go over Bounty. Honorable mentions first, as always. Penny. Penny is solid in Bounty as she has decent range and her mortar can exert pressure on the opponents, making it so they can't hide behind walls and they have to be careful about the way they dodge, as this can lead to being hit by a stray cannonball if they don't move enough. Right now, Penny has the 7th highest use rate, but is 12th in win rates, so she just didn't make the cut. Piper. What? Piper didn't make the top 5? Not according to the way I'm reading the stats. She's number 1 in use rates at 10.9%, which is crazy high, but she's 11th in win rates, so I can't put her in the top 5. So while I might not be putting her in the top 5, she's still a great brawler for Bounty, especially if you have her new gadget, which makes it so you basically can't miss a shot as long as you're aiming pretty close. Just remember, just because a brawler is an honorable mention doesn't mean I'm saying they're bad for a mode. Brock. And this is probably the part where people are going to tell me to stop making these lists. Brock is 10th in win rates and 4th in use rates, so he could make the cut for the list. But there's a few brawlers that are dominating the mode, which both Brock and Piper are suffering because of this. I actually love Brock for Bounty. He's got everything you need. Range, damage, gap closing gadget, and a super that can deal great damage and break cover. Brock is always going to be relevant in Bounty, he just missed the list today. Okay, with the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the top 5. Number 5 is going to be Bo. Bo has the 9th highest win rates at 52.4%, just barely beating Brock, and also has the 2nd highest use rates at 9.2%. Bo has decent range and damage, which are both things you really want in Bounty. His mines offer great area of denial, and if you have Snare Bear, they can stun someone who isn't paying attention, which can often lead to a kill. His Circling Eagle star power is obviously great on maps that have a lot of bushes, like Snake Prairie. But I think the real reason Bo has gotten so good and popular in Bounty is his gadget. Being able to charge your super for free while waiting to try to do poke damage is huge and can help swing matches. This strategy works well for brawlers like Penny, Brock, and Piper, just to name a few. The number 4 brawler on today's Bounty list is going to be Tara. Tara is 6th in win rates at 53.9% and 6th in use rates at 4.8%. Tara made the last Bounty list to my surprise, so after receiving 2 buffs, I'm not shocked she's still on this list. I'm going to hold the rant. If you guys have watched me before, you know what I'm going to say. But Tara works well on maps that have a lot of bushes if you have her gadget, which now include the newer maps, Heatwave and Cobweb. She does great damage from mid-range and pairs well with Bo, so she can charge her super very easily, which can secure kills more often than not. Tara is very strong right now, and this is just another mode she's doing well in. On to number 3 for Bounty. Tick is going to be the number 3 brawler, having the 5th highest win rates at 54.5% and the 3rd highest use rates at 8.9%. Tick has very long range and deals pretty good damage if enemies step on more than one mine. It can be tough to land those mines at times, but the point is to make enemies move into spots they don't want to be in, preferably out of cover. And Tick has a super that can push enemies back or be placed defensively if someone tries to get too close to him. His gadget also allows him to dash backwards, which can be used if he's running away and needs to buy time for his teammates to come and help him. The big thing to watch out for with Tick is his health, as he can be two-shot by a lot of popular brawlers like Piper and Brock, so you need to make sure you're hiding behind walls as much as possible. Number 2 for Bounty is going to be Sprout. Sprout has the 3rd highest win rates at 56.8% and the 9th highest use rates at 4.2%. So, Sprout is still strong even after the rework to Overgrowth. His shots are still pretty easy to land, and this leads to very consistent chip damage and kills. If you're running his shield star power, there's almost always grass to hide in, and this can reduce your incoming damage. His gadget allows him to heal quickly, and this can keep Sprout in fights for a longer period of time. And if you're matched against a brawler that isn't a thrower, you can throw your walls down and make it so they can't attack you while you can still attack them. Depending on the brawler you're matched against, Sprout can be a nightmare to deal with. And the number 1 brawler for Bounty is going to be Mr. P. Mr. P has the number 1 win rate at 60.5%, which is insanely high, and has the 10th highest use rate at 3%. Mr. P can put in work in Bounty, even if his damage is a little lower than you'd like. He can attack over walls, which makes it difficult for brawlers to hide from him without totally backing out of their lanes. When he gets his super down, porters can find enemies in bushes and force them to take them out, wasting their shots and stopping their health regen, or they'll take damage. His gadget can be used to fully heal a near-dead porter, which can be very annoying if used against a brawler with a long reload time, like Piper. And both his star powers work very well in the mode, either increasing his range or making his porters insanely annoying by causing them to spawn non-stop. I said in a previous video that Mr. P is a great control brawler, and Bounty is a mode that's all about damage and control, which Mr. P can be good at both when played the right way. So this time around, for Bounty, 4 out of the 5 brawlers were all repeat brawlers. Sprout, Terra, Tick, and Bo were all featured last time I did this list. I'm not really surprised that these 4 stayed in the list, as they were either untouched or buffed in the last balance changes, with the exception of Sprout. He may still need a nerf, as his shots are still very easy to land, in my opinion. Brock got bumped out of the top 5 because of Mr. P. His ability to shoot over walls and the fact that his porters can exert so much pressure on the enemy, especially if you have a revolving door, make him great in Bounty. But what did you think about my list? Any brawlers that you were surprised were on them or were not on them? Let me know. And, like I said at the beginning of the video, drop a question for my Q&A video that I like to get done. Also, if you guys want to see a showdown list, let me know about that as well. As I've said, I'm not really happy with the way the solo list turned out the last time, and I'm not sure if this list really needs to be done. But if you guys are interested in it, I'll do it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.